Communication thoughts to speak one's mind. Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 1685 of What's She Up To Now, documenting the journey as I originally transitioned from the brick and mortar corporate world of business to the online world of business, and in 2020, pandemic and all the goofiness, back and forth again, decided I've always been interested, and I've always had more than one thing going on business-wise. So as I moved to the online world from the offline world, I decided I'm not just going to stay in the online world. I want to combine the two, mesh them, and do both. So that's what I do in my daily life. So I share a couple pieces of content every day. And I know I said this week, I'm a little bit miffed. I don't want to be frustrated, full-blown frustrated, but I'm miffed with the changes in social media that happen all the time that we have to adjust to. Then I realized today that that's a good thing, because it teaches us, everything nowadays, and it's interesting to me, being an older human being, that technology is such an integral part of our lives, and social media is a part of that for many people. Now, my daughter and my son do virtually no social media, and here I am every day online talking and sharing what I'm thinking, whether people want to hear it or not some days, and realizing that as frustrated as I get with the supposedly, we're supposed to just intuitively know how to do things technologically. And as I watch my 1.5-year-old granddaughter, it's amazing to me, because she does. She picks up a phone or picks up her iPad. Yes, she does have an iPad. Her grandparents gave it to her, not me. And she knows what to do. She knows how to move things around. She knows how to interact with that device, and I find that fascinating. But as somebody that didn't grow up with that technology, I also find it frustrating. But I realize that it's to remind me that we have to always be flexible and flowing, and understanding that things change all the time. And I talk about this all the time, so you'd think I would remember it consciously. Things change all the time, and we need to be flexible and flow and figure it out. Our job in life is to figure it out. So this week I'm figuring out the many algorithm changes with my Facebook, because I like to record live on Facebook because it's free, it's quick, it's easy, it's simple normally. But they're doing this thing with changing groups and changing pages, and I normally record on a couple of my pages. Well, many of my pages changed types, so early in the year I was like, all right, this is not easy to do, going between different profiles, because they've taken pages and now they're creating profiles for them, which is a whole chain of events of things that get undone that in some cases we have spent years creating. My Supersize Your Business page I've had for years, and now the changed format, which I finally had to do this last week because they forced it like they did with many of my other pages, but I don't record on them, so it doesn't matter. I've had to, and I'm having to figure out, and you'll notice yesterday if you saw my videos, 2 of them were actually sideways because I didn't figure out the technology before I recorded. So it's just, I like to look at it and say, okay, my job is to calmly and not get frustrated, figure it out, and realize that things outside of my control, if I choose to use them and interact with them, are always going to change. And it's up to me to become more of an intuitive learner, intuitive how machines and big companies think, not intuitive necessarily to how I think. So today the piece of content I created for Supersize Your Business was to speak one's mind. Now, I think I covered in March when we were talking about, for the annual challenge, to speak your mind, because we were talking about thoughts and beliefs and our mental well-being and mental health. This month we're focusing on, as part of the annual challenge, communication. How do we communicate with other people? And our topic was our thoughts and beliefs about communication. What are our current thoughts and beliefs about communication? Our ability to communicate, or about communication as a whole? And we're just going to come up with 10, and then we're going to look at them and say, okay, well, is this true? Is it 100% true? Is it really true for me? Is it true for everybody else? And then what if it's not true? What if I'm telling myself I'm a terrible speaker or a terrible writer, but it's really not true, because I'm comparing myself to the best in the world at something? And that's always going to make us feel disappointed, right? So to speak one's mind, I just shared some thoughts around that and how that interacts and how that can improve our business if we're willing to be who we are, be honest, be direct and clear in our communication. And communication doesn't happen if the other person doesn't get it. We can talk and we can say and we can write and we can communicate in different modalities, But if the people that we're trying to communicate with and reach don't understand what we're trying to say in our intent, then communication has failed. That's the number one myth about communication, is we actually believe that we've communicated something. And I shared a story in Be Me to Thrive Challenge, not Be Me to Thrive Challenge, our BU 365 Day Challenge, that about communicating things to my ex-husband and thinking that we'd gotten it and I'd communicated it and that he understood and we had agreement on something, yet when something didn't happen or when it happened sideways, because that happened a lot, I would go back and I'd be like, well, I know that I communicated this, and he would swear up and down that I never did and that I didn't say it and we didn't have the conversation at all. And I'd go back to my little notebooks, because I always keep little notebooks to make sure I follow up on things both inside and outside of my personal life. And lo and behold, I would have a little check mark that we talked about it, and he would swear up and down that we didn't. So, there's a reason that some people don't get along and don't communicate well, and we have very different communication styles. That's one of the big ahas I had about our relationship. So I shared a bunch of different misconceptions, myths, and thoughts and beliefs about communication, just to get us thinking and to stimulate my own thinking about, well, what are my 10 beliefs about communicating, and about my thoughts and beliefs about that. What do I think, what I feel? And so as I go about my day, I'm going to pay attention to what pops up, what happens with respect to communication. And then I'll look at the list, and I'll do the same thing I ask people in the challenge to do, because I do my challenges right along with everybody else. Why? Because I want to continually improve and grow every day too. That's it. It's Labor Day weekend here in the United States. Labor Day is an interesting holiday for me, because I've had on several Labor Days, more than I'd like to remember, incredibly large physical health challenges. I had kidney surgery one Labor Day weekend. I had eye surgery one Labor Day weekend. I had a sudden cardiac arrest the day after Labor Day weekend one year. And so Labor Day has got a whole lot of interesting things that it brings up for me. I actually celebrate what I call my death day, because I had a sudden cardiac arrest and died the day after Labor Day. And so that is and since Labor Day changes all the time, it's not the day after Labor Day this year. It happens to be the 7th. So September 7th, I actually celebrate my death day. My kids kind of hate that I call it that, but it's my day to celebrate that I'm still here and I'm still able to try to get some messages across and to communicate with other people. I guess that's all I've got today. I'm going to enjoy the holiday weekend with my granddaughters. I've got my oldest granddaughter coming over for a sleepover tonight, which always is so much fun and so exhilarating for me. We're actually going to sleep over at my youngest sister's house, because her husband, although it's his birthday weekend, he does a fly-in, very remote fishing trip every year in Canada, except not the last 2 years because of COVID and things. But this year he's on again, so he's on his remote island, and she gets a little lonely and sad, so I promised that my oldest granddaughter and I would have a sleepover with her. All right, if I can help you in any way, love to know your thoughts, your experience with speaking your own mind. Sometimes speaking my own mind has gotten me in a lot of trouble. Other times it's served me really, really well. And I guess overall, it's served me more being myself and speaking my mind and being who I am, than wearing masks and veils and pretending I'm somebody that I'm not. All right, if I can help you anyway, ask. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow.